Brand new championship hit North American shores less than a month ago at Sonoma Raceway. Now McLaren Trophy America rolls into Circuit of the Americas for the third race in this Young Championships history. And it comes at one of the great venues in modern North American motorsport. Hello everyone, welcome into Austin, Texas. Ryan Marine and Amanda Busick with you here for this one. As we get ready to go, makeup race for race 2 at Sonoma, which was washed out. That's already taken care of yesterday. So now we're really focused on this event here at COTA. Hot conditions, the threat of pop-up rain showers as well, hovering over central Texas. But more importantly, about to turn loose some of the coolest single-make race cars anywhere on the planet. These things are spectacular, and they're rolling out for their formation lap now. The McLaren Artura Trophy Evo debuting here in 2025, 3-liter twin-turbo V6, which makes 577 horsepower before push-to-pass is enabled. And that's an extra roughly 35 horsepower. I'm told that these drivers have to play with. They've got 300 seconds of it to use over the course of this race, and that has played a crucial role in the races thus far. Excitement yesterday with some mixed weather conditions for the first race of the weekend. That was the makeup race from the rained-out event at Sonoma. Pole positions for the first official COTA event. James Lee from RWE, Alexandra Hayner in the Pro-Am class, and James Safronis, your Am-class pole sitter, but he's set to roll off with the top spot overall. Great qualifying effort from the veteran from GMG Racing. Just got done watching his car on track in GT World Challenge America, powered by AWS a moment ago. Let's look at how they will roll off. As mentioned, your pole in AM is the Rova Pole Award winner overall, James Safronis, next to James Lee. Then you find Colin Harrison and Cooper Brohl a little bit further back. Tommy Pintos as well sharing one of those cars. We got Alexandra Hayner, as you can see, John Dempsey as well, starting there in the third row. Tom Kopczynski set to start for Wiley Motorsports with Jason Guzman alongside. Rafa Martinez will make his debut in the championship here, at least the North American version today. He'll have Brendan Kreutz for company, George Lawrence and Steve Sorbero, who had the incident yesterday, and then out back behind Dennis Teoman and Jeff Cook will be Neil Langberg and Kevin Madsen, I believe, although some of that may have shifted around a little bit post-qualifying. In any event, the lights are already off on the beautiful safety car, and this field is about to go for the second race of the weekend, third of the season, here at the beautiful Circuit of the Americas. As mentioned, these cars brand new for 2025, and the upgrade from the original version of the Artura Trophy, well, it's a big one. That push-to-pass, of course, first of its kind in a championship like this, is what gets a lot of the attention, but these are outstanding cars even beyond that. The Evo version parallels some of the enhancements that have been rolled into the road car iterations, the Artura Spider as well as the Coupe. Wider tires on this Evo compared to the previous version, some changes to the aerodynamics and styling as well. All in all, you talk to the drivers and to a man and woman, they will tell you these things are an absolute blast to drive. Can't imagine why. Pace car starting to accelerate away. James Safronis will have the field in tow. James Lee, who's on a 2-race win streak in the Lightning McLaren liveried car. It'll play on the popular Lightning McQueen character. You'll see the familiarity if you're familiar with what I'm talking about. They share the front row. Then it's Harrison and Brohl sharing row number 2. Hayner and Dempsey, Kopczynski and Guzman, Martinez and Kreutz, the rest of the top 10 as the field approaches the acceleration zone, coming to the green flag. And there it is. Cars are not supposed to change column before the start line, so there could be a problem coming for James Lee. But nevertheless, right now we focus on the run up the hill to turn 1. Oh, and Lee might have tagged the back of Safronis. He's able to continue on. Safronis consolidates his advantage down the hill into turn 2. Meanwhile, the battle is fierce further back in the back, but Safronis, Lee, Harrison, and Brohl, I believe, is the order, coming through the S's for the first time at speed. Really Hairy stuff at the top of the hill as usual. Turn 1 here at Circuit of the Americas, a traditional trouble spot. It was almost designed with that in mind. Wide and inviting at corner entry, but it narrows down into a pinch point at apex. Everyone able to continue on though, and that's absolutely great news to see as Sofronis now starting to fall back into the clutches of Lee, who could come under scrutiny from race control given the potential change in column coming to the green flag. We'll let race control sort that out, and we do have confirmation that the start of this race is under review. There's the gap through the top 4 or 5, coming and now going away. Beautiful look firsthand at just how speedy these cars are in a straight line with all that horsepower to put to the ground. Into the stadium section here with Sofronis continuing to lead Lee. Then it's Harrison and Broll. Hayner, who won yesterday, leads in the Pro-Am class, put together a really strong drive. Then Dempsey, Guzman, Martinez, and Lawrence. Solano will round out the top 10. And Solano was a bit of a revelation in race 1 yesterday. Spent a lot of time battling at the front in a car he shares with John Capestro-Dubets. Really strong effort out of the GMG Racing stable, which does lead overall. Coming around to complete lap number 1, Sofronis then Lee. Pleased to be joined once again by Tom Baker, media manager with McLaren. Exciting stuff yesterday. We had the rain shower right in the middle of the race, very briefly, just to spice things up a little bit. Hopefully that stays away today. I suppose that's true. I hadn't thought of it in those terms, but yeah, that sporadic random rain shower made you feel right at home, I suppose, even here deep in the heart of Texas.
Exactly.
Starting to settle into a bit of a rhythm here on the second lap. We'll keep an eye on this battle for the lead. 2 different class leaders dueling for the overall top spot. But Amanda Busick, time to welcome you into the broadcast. What have you found for us down in the pits?
Hey guys, yeah, I'm standing next to Tommy Pintos. He was the inaugural McLaren Trophy European champion and now racing alongside Cooper Broll. And as we settle into race 1 here at COTA, though yesterday was the makeup for Sonoma, what do you like about the McLaren here on this circuit?
Well, it's my first time around this track. I learned it on Thursday and Friday. And I think it's a really good pairing, the mix between the McLaren Trophy and COTA. It maximizes the use of the car with all of these fast corners, and then obviously in the third sector I leave it slower. But it's a really good combination. I really enjoyed it.
As we take a look at Cooper on track right there, just talk about the relationship between you two, and what do you see out of Cooper so far?
Well, I think we made a really good relationship. We started working. I met him just through a video call at the beginning of the year, and I think we just made a really good relationship. We're working a lot to make him improve and improve together with the team. He's been doing racing with TCR and TCX and all of these type of car, and it's his first season with a rear-wheel drive car. So it's a lot for him to learn, but we're getting there, we're getting competitive, and we're really looking forward for the rest of the season because we're going to be fast.
Good luck today, Tommy, and with this being a Pro-Am pairing, you will see Cooper behind the wheel of that McLaren for 30 minutes, and Tommy will close out this race with the last stint.
Appreciate it, Amanda. Great to hear from Tommy. Running into Pro class this weekend, but the point is well made, how they'll split the driving duties here in today's race. Did get confirmation of what we anticipated. Penalty incoming for the Pro class leader. Winner of the first 2 races, in fact. James Lee did indeed change columns prior to the start line, and he'll owe a drive-through penalty. Same penalty issued moments ago to Jason Guzman, who is serving it right now. Hate to see that for Jason, and they'll have to go back to work once that gets sorted out. Not sure James Lee's received the message, though. He's continuing to push on, harrying James Sofronis at the front of this field.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the leaderboard to see where Andre Solano is. He's moved up to 7th now, having started from the back of the field after they were handed a back of the grid start because they were out on their driver bias, so driver ballast, sorry. So they're having to work through.
Okay, that explains The order was shaken up a little bit from what I was anticipating.
We like to keep you guessing.
Well, yeah, and hey, it spices up the race. We know that car is fast. We saw it yesterday, fighting for the overall win potentially. Now, coming up through the field quite quickly, I thought Solano yesterday was absolutely outstanding. First time to COTA, first time driving this Artura Trophy car.
Exactly, he's adapted quite quickly to it and been setting some impressive times. So, yeah, we will see how they soldier on. I mean, obviously they're getting to the pointy end of the grid now, so it's going to get a little bit harder for them to come through, but we'll keep an eye on them.
Yeah, would have qualified on pole position, if I'm not mistaken, had it not, well,
no,
second, I guess.
James pipped them to that. So.
Pole in class, though, I suppose, is
yes,
where I was trying
exactly.
to go with that. Before that penalty set them all the way to the back, and we'll see if they can recover from it. Also curious to see how soon James Lee will make that call to the pit lane. He does it now. Unsurprisingly, you want to get that done as soon as possible, because a yellow could cause some problems, bunch everybody back up and make it more punitive. So RWE will call their driver in, and this is so painful. This long run down the pit lane takes about 40 seconds to traverse the entire pit lane at the pit lane speed limit, and all the while your competition is going full bore.
And you get a great view of them disappearing up the hill away from you. So.
Just to rub it in.
Exactly.
Opening stanza controlled by James Safronis at the front of the field. That penalty, though, has promoted Colin Harrison up into second on the road, second as well in the AM class. So that is a class battle to keep an eye on. Cooper Brohl now leads in pro, and Alexandra Hayner, who had a really strong day yesterday, still leads from pole position in the Pro-Am class, with John Dempsey starting to close in a little bit. In fact, here he is. He's arrived on the scene. That's the gray and kind of navy blue Artura that you see closing in on the black hooded, but primarily white Motorsport in Action McLaren that runs just ahead. And now behind, this is the recovery drive, I believe, from Solano, who has knifed his way through this field. He's gotten up to 6th. Now, though, it gets that much more difficult as the pace of the cars in front of him starts to increase as he gets higher up in the field.
Yeah, they've closed in quite nicely. I was having a chat with Andrew earlier just on race 1. Obviously, they took a bold move and put wet tyres on, which didn't quite work out. But as an AM driver in John Dempsey, you know, they're learning all the time, and yeah, they were looking for redemption, I think, this time around. Make the most of it, and they certainly are at the moment.
Lots of laps around this place virtually for John Dempsey. He told me this is one of his favorite tracks in the sim, and of course that's his background. Lots of time spent in sim racing, first year racing here in the real world. Doing a really good job. I thought he was something of a revelation at Sonoma, really strong in the debut of the championship. Gave up the spot overall, at least, to Solano, who continues to make his way forward. Doing a great job to overcome the penalty that set them to the back of the field. Check back in with the overall leader here, James Safronis. Colin Harrison, though, keeping him honest. Safronis just did the race's fastest lap the last time by, but Harrison was only a few tenths off. And a big gulf in the relative experience levels between those two drivers. James has been at this since the mid-90s, where Colin is very much in the early stages of his development.
Indeed, that's the great thing about the field. We've got a real stretch of, or spread of drivers' ages, abilities, and experience. So it's nice to bring them all together and see how they can battle it out.
Andre Solano's arrival has broken off the battle for the Pro-Am lead. Alexandra Hayner, with no pressure from behind, has caught Cooper Brohl, the Pro Class leader now. So this is one of those difficult moments to try and navigate as a young driver. It's a car, and it's for position, but it's not for a position that's going to pay you any different points, right? Two cars in two different classes. So how aggressive do you want to be here?
Well, she's got 6 of one and half dozen of the other, isn't she? She's got to get past, otherwise she's going to allow John Dempsey to close back in. He let Andre Solano through quite quickly, so I'm wondering whether he was thinking, it's a quick car, there's no point holding him up, let him through and let him have a go at taking that place from Alex, and I'll try and follow through. So they're all very close. Let's see how it pans out.
Yeah, And let's see, too, I mean, maybe Solano could open up that window that would allow Dempsey to come through as well. Plus, you got the chance to sit behind a more experienced driver, learn a couple of things. This is an education, of course, for someone at the early stages of his career like John Dempsey, who's got great coaching from Andrew Davis, who you mentioned earlier, veteran of the North American sports car racing scene, one of the top driver coaches as well. He's really carved out a nice niche for himself, not just as a fast racing driver, but someone who excels at bringing new people into the sport. Here's Solano continuing his charge up through the field. He's not wasting any time.
He's getting on with it. No, I'd forgotten how much racing Andrew had actually done. Yeah. He reminded me, but it was interesting. He's never raced at McLaren, so right. He's saying it's one to tick off the list. So, and thankfully so far he's enjoying it. He likes the car. Completely unprompted by me, so he was no bias.
Well, he told me the same thing, and I'm not wearing papaya, so he had no reason to try and butter me up.
There you go. The research is valid.
That's right. And Solano now through on Broll, so that leaves these three to fight it out. Very similar pace, relatively similar experience level as well between these three. Broll in the Pied Parker machine, then he's got Hayner behind, and just behind her is Dempsey, and that's crucially the battle for the lead in Pro-Am with 38 minutes to go.
Yeah, running third in class is Rafa Martinez, who he got his first laps in Thursday in the car. As we mentioned yesterday, he's got a lot of experience in McLarens, but not in this car. Had plenty of running around COTA though, so he was, I think, probably disappointed with his qualifying time. He was 5th in quali, but talking to John Lancaster just before I came down here, he was looking at the times, they knew there was more in it. Rafa probably could have been second, they reckon. So a little bit more time, string the laps together, and he could be joining this fight soon enough.
You mentioned his experience here. This is effectively the home track for the Rafa Racing team. Their entry into motorsports program is based around lapping days here at COTA. That Rafa Racing Club has just grown and grown in a short amount of time. So we'll see what he can do as he tries to close in on this battle. Alexander Hayner way over that curb, up and down, clobbering that apex curb, and able to continue on, putting a lot of pressure on the Pro Class now runner-up as Solano put that pass on Broll. That was for position. That was for the lead in Pro, in fact. Should note that. Now Broll with his hands full with these two that are the top two in Pro-Am just behind him. Jason Guzman recovering from his drive-through, just picked up another position to climb up to 5th in the Pro-Am class. Here comes Hayner. She'll try the inside on Broll. I think he sees her coming, gives her plenty of room, tries to cross back over, but as long as Hayner can stay tight to the inside here, she'll have the inside line for turn 2, and that is enough to hang on to that position. And now a little bit of a buffer between herself and the second place car in class. That said, she has to take the shortcut there through the S's. That car was all squirrely underneath her, and decided discretion was the better part of valor. It was a safer option to shortcut the corner. Now the question is, was any advantage gained? And if it was deemed that an advantage was gained, then race control will have to step in and intervene.
Yeah, maybe I don't know if it was a car or just a little bit of the pressure getting to it, but we'll see.
Quick message from race control. This lap, in terms of fast lap, has already been invalidated, and they'll continue to look to see if any advantage was gained. In the meantime, Broll and Dempsey fighting it out, and Broll prudently gives way. This is not his fight. His fight is with James Lee, who's trying to recover from his drive-through penalty, but is a significant margin down the road, sitting there in 8th overall. This was big for Dempsey, though. He needed to get that pass made so he could take the battle up to Hayner for the Pro-Am class honors.
I'm not so sure Cooper gave that up voluntarily. He's been on the push to pass twice now since he passed, so I think he wants to get back through, and really he wants to be challenging Andre, who's in front of Alex Hayner there, so he needs to be looking forward rather than back, I think.
I defer to you on that, and a good point about the push to pass, and the way that you can tell some LED lights on the front of the car will start flashing. You'll know it when you see it. And that would indicate that the driver in question is utilizing that extra 35 horsepower of push to pass. It's look back at something that happened a moment ago. This was a spin a little bit further down in the pack.
Robbie Stockard.
Yep. Down in 15th at the moment. Something has also happened to Tom Kopczynski.
Yeah, they came late to the grid, so they actually started the race from the pit lane. So I'm not entirely sure what caused them to be late coming through.
Yeah, only shown as having completed 2 laps. So try and get to the bottom of that. Amanda has an update for us, though, in the meantime.
Hey, Ryan. Yeah, I was able to talk to Eric Filgaris. That Pils Mafia McLaren made its way to pit lane. Bill Riley did tell me that it's an alternator belt that took that 17 McLaren out of this race. But as racing drivers do, Eric Filgaris threw his hands up and said, we'll be ready to go tomorrow.
I have no doubt that they will. It's a great team, Riley Motorsports. Jared Andretti, interestingly enough, is helping to run this McLaren Trophy operation for Bill Riley, son of the late and much missed John Andretti, nephew to Michael. And that makes him, what? Well, it's too complicated for me, but a relative of Mario's, let's put it that way.
I thought you were going to say 1/8 Formula One champion.
Yeah, that's right, exactly. Former champion, though, in this paddock, actually, in GT4 America, going back a couple of years, driving a McLaren, was Jared Andretti.
So, yeah, no, we're really pleased with the caliber of teams we've got in the championship for its debut year, having, teams like Riley and Flying Lizards and, big teams that have got a lot of notoriety in motorsport.
Yeah, you're exactly right. It's kind of murderer's row of the great North American sports car teams that saw this as an opportunity, and that has to be a real feather in the cap for McLaren as they try and grow this from scratch. It's been proven in Europe, the championship has its merit, but to see the buy-in at this level from so many top teams has to be a real point of pride.
Absolutely. I mean, we're obviously very confident in the product we've got. We've had run it in Europe for the past 2 years, and it's growing, and we wanted to launch over here. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Having teams of that caliber really adds, I think, a kudos to the championship that hopefully will act as a draw and the grids will grow. That is the plan, and we want to have... Whoa! That's not the ideal racing line through there, but...
Not the only thing that hasn't gone right today, in the race at least, for Andre Solano. Had that penalty that wiped away the class pole, but despite that, Solano has come from the back and now moved into 2nd overall.
He's made some quick progress there, hasn't he? So
not bad for someone who had never been to this track prior to this week. Andre, super experienced, racing primarily in Central and South America. And you were telling me yesterday, has run in a car that's effectively the big brother to the 720S GT3 that's racing here this weekend in GT World Challenge America.
Exactly, yeah. He normally races the GT3X. So, yeah, so he's got some experience of powerful McLaren, so, and he seems to be putting to good use so far, I'd say.
The stopwatch would agree. It's been really quick. Best lap at a 2:10.4. It's not the best lap in his class. James Lee has that honor, but James has needed to have that pace as he tries to overcome the drive-through penalty. Dempsey and Hayner for the lead in Pro-Am, and John Dempsey has tracked her down and made the pass. Alexandra, though, will not go quietly. She poked the nose to the inside. Oh, Dempsey checked up a little bit at apex there. Hayner closed in rapidly, heads up driving, no contact. They continue on, but what a great performance from Dempsey. Just his 3rd ever race, and he has driven to the front in class.
That was well played. He's obviously that move has been several laps in the making, but he still made it count. He took the opportunity when it presented itself, and didn't get held up in the rhythm that sometimes drivers do. So that was well played.
Runner-up in the season opener at Sonoma, Dempsey and Andrew Davis. As you mentioned earlier, didn't quite play the strategy right with the rainstorm yesterday, electing to go to wet weather tires. The rain stopped, track dried out rapidly, and that left them languishing down the order, but showing a lot of pace today, and the team car is too, as mentioned. Lee has the fastest lap of the race right now, and he has run down his next target. This is Rafa Martinez, who is making his Series North American McLaren Trophy debut. Martinez lets it stay out wide, opening the door to the inside, and Lee will take that position away. I think we're into the pit stop window effectively as well for some of the classes, as Cooper Brohl has brought his Skip Barber Racing team car to the pits and the attention of his crew. There it is, right on cue.
They've timed that just perfectly to get inside the window there. So, but that now moves James Lee up a position. So they've now swapped.
They have. Now this car, James Lee, will have a lengthier pit stop coming its way because they have won back-to-back races to start the season, and there is a success penalty that comes with it because, well, let's put it this way, a single race win leads to 7 seconds longer pit stop time in the next race. They've now won 2 in a row, and that continues to grow, so it's a 10-second additional time that they'll have to serve, and should they win again, it would increase to 15 seconds, as much as 20 seconds for 4 consecutive wins. Plus, if we get to that point, and maybe you can explain the thinking behind that, trying to implement something along those lines to a championship like this with drivers coming in many cases without much experience.
Yeah, it just sort of stops the situation where we end up with runaway winners and makes the racing a lot more interesting. So as you say, they will serve a 10-second penalty when they come in. Cooper Brohl, they only had 3 seconds to serve on top of their pit stop. So there's a 7-second deficit there that or advantage that they can gain there to just bring them back into the race. So.
Yeah, that was Neil Langberg, by the way, being helped out of the car. He's under the weather this weekend. In fact, yesterday didn't race at all, which is why the car that it won on the road, Kevin Madsen, did the race solo, but because it wasn't announced as a single driver lineup prior to the race, that car ended up being disqualified. But Kevin's super quick, and he'll climb aboard now that Neil has climbed out. Great to see that he's feeling up for the race today, but you could tell he was pretty tuckered out, not feeling his best, and it is a hot, hot day, even with the air conditioning that's available to you in these McLaren Artura Trophy Evos.
Exactly. No, pleased to see that Neil is feeling much better. He wasn't looking great yesterday, but he's fighting fit again and done his stint now. They finished 3rd overall in class before. Obviously, that they were knocked back. But Kevin was very quick yesterday and did a great job. He's a very quick AM driver, so we'll keep an eye on them as well.
Yeah, he's one of those that maybe the AM moniker, he gets it because he hasn't necessarily raced a lot at a super high level, but any time he turns up, he goes fast. Another one of these really good driver coaches. And so much now of sports car racing is pairing coaches with their students and getting them to share the car on a weekend. They can share notes. Everyone is working from the same bit of data. It just helps the new drivers along so much, and it's what makes a format like this so successful.
Absolutely. Well, Kevin is actually already a race winner in McLaren Trophy because he came and did the Misano races to open the season last year. So he was racing with Optima Motorsport. They won round 1, and he was pretty convincing. They would have run round 2 as well, but it came down to they had a penalty, and I think the gap was less than a second, like a 1/10 of a second of the line. So, we know how quick he can be. So,
speaking of penalties, Steve Sorbero has one coming his way. It's a stop and go for a pit lane speed violation. So, it was a rather significant violation, it would appear. Good to see that car back out on track. It was damaged yesterday. The only car that ended up, I think, hitting anything when the rain suddenly came down in the first couple of laps of the race yesterday. So I'm sure that crew from OMS, Orlando Motorsport Services, had a lot of work to do to get that car in fighting shape.
They did, yeah, but pleased to see it's back in one piece and running well in the race. And actually, before the race started, we did see someone walking off with the the rear bodywork. A fan had procured that and was taking it home, so that's probably a piece of wall art somewhere soon.
Souvenir for some lucky fan.
Exactly.
How about that? Well, the access you get at these race weekends as a fan is second to none, and that might illustrate the point better than just about anything else. We're still waiting on a couple of pit callers, including this one, John Dempsey, as well as second place Alexandra Hayner. Rafa Martinez as well still owes a pit stop. Sofronis, who's driving solo, has made his stop. They're just waiting for the time to elapse. Having checked the tire pressures, they'll send him back out on track, and we'll see where he blends back in relative to John Capestro-Dubets, who's now in the car that Andre Solano started. That could be the battle for the overall lead if things play out the way that I anticipate they will. And we'll see what the end result of that is. A look in at the Hooper Street Racing car, dad and lad pairing with Bob and Robbie Stockard. And I heard a cool story about the reason that team is called Hooper Street Racing. Evidently, that is where Bob Stockard met his wife. And so Robbie's parents met on a street called Hooper Street. And so they named the team in honor of that, which I thought was quite touching.
Yeah, very nice.
And always cool, too, to have that family connection, the chance to share the car with your dad is a special thing. They're having a lot of fun as they make this big step, coming from lapping days primarily in McLarens, but into competitive racing, and took a big bite out of the apple coming straight into McLaren Trophy.
Exactly. Well, they drove very well yesterday, and they were the beneficiaries of the Race for RP car, and took their first podium.
Yeah.
So great to see them up there yesterday.
Yeah, very good point. Let's check in here. What are we looking at? Battles all over the place. A couple of GMG cars, Sofronis and John Capestro-Dubets, as anticipated. I think this will cycle through to be the fight for the overall win. This is an interesting dynamic here because James Sofronis, the racing driver, would love to win overall. James Sofronis, the team owner, though, won't want to hinder his team car if it could be helped.
Yeah, they're looking pretty close on track there, aren't they? So I'm sure the switcheroo will come soon enough.
See how they elect to play it.
Yeah, and we can see looking down the order that how the pit stop penalties have played out, because Tommy Pintos now on board the 919 car is now ahead of Casey Dennis. So, and they've got a little bit of an advantage there as well. So, yeah, that switches it up and makes it a bit more interesting for us commentators.
Yeah, it certainly does. And I think you're right that the time spent in the pit lane might be the difference there. It was about 9 seconds difference between those two, and that is in part due to that success penalty that we talked about earlier. Definitely hard to overcome, but it spices things up for us, so I'm not complaining.
Exactly.
Leaders making their way through some traffic there, able to deal with it. Again, not the leaders at the moment, but this is de facto the overall lead between these two GMG Racing cars.
I think John Dempsey will be able to take a screenshot of the timing screen right
Yeah.
now. He's running P1. Always nice to see.
Done a really good job. Has the fastest lap in class. Not by much. Alexander Hayner in this car, pretty close. Already a race winner here this weekend. And now makes the call into the pit lane. Her drive time is fulfilled. And the veteran Canadian, Jesse Lazar, will climb aboard. As he brings a lot to the table. He's been racing GT4 McLarens quite a bit in IMSA over the last few years. Former 24 Hours of Daytona class winner as well. It's a nice timepiece as a memento.
There we go. We'll be getting aboard that car in just a second. Yeah, as you say, they've had some great success racing the GT4 in IMSA and Michelin Pilot Challenge. So they've been race winners in those championships. So it's great to see them here.
Came very close to a championship back in 2019. Driving alongside Corey Fergus, whose father, John, is a big part of the SRO America family, race director for TC America. It's all in the family in motorsport, it seems. Of course, Alexandra Hayner, also a second-generation racer in her own right.
Yeah, as you say, runs in the family, runs through the blood. We were watching John Lancaster just helping Rafa Martinez there at the pit stop, so John getting on board. He hasn't had that many laps in the car since we started this weekend. I think it's been deferring to Rafa and letting him get the mileage in. But John, very, very experienced racer. Not many things that he hasn't raced.
Yes, I noticed that when I was going through his bio in preparation for this. Of course, won LMP2 title in European Le Mans Series back in 2015, but has driven as high as the GP2, which is now F2 level. He's been a race winner at that level in a lot of sports car racing in subsequent years. And he and Rafa paired up a year ago in GT4 European Series for a good chunk of the races, driving the GT4 version of the Artura. And had a pretty good run of things in that time. Had a podium, a couple of poles. Did John?
Yeah, that's a fiercely competitive championship. They've got grids of 50-odd cars.
Yeah.
So trying to make your way through there is no mean feat.
Do have another penalty, unfortunately, to pass along car 52. That is Chris Likewise, who's in the car at the moment. For a pit lane speed violation, stop plus 30, so that must have been big. That's the car Jason Guzman started. So they've had their fair share of penalty issues, unfortunately, here in the second race of this weekend. Battle for the lead now, hotting up. And James Sofronis has had to give way. John Capestro-Dubets is through, and now with John Dempsey pitting from the lead with 18 minutes to go, I think this will cycle through to be the lead overall, but JCD finally got the move made, and you have to be circumspect when the guy you're trying to pass is also your boss.
Yeah, but the boss has just come back through.
James.
Oh, no, you're right.
Yeah, it's hard to tell, almost identical
They were going
liveries.
side by side there. We need to do something about this. Get them changed
you
over.
have a word with him, would
see
you?
what we can do.
But don't tell him it came from me.
I'm not going to be blamed. We'll go for you.
All right. And there's Dempsey in the pits. Here come the leaders through as anticipated. JCD to the front, driving with his second different co-driver already this season. Andrew Chinnici was fantastic at Sonoma. Andre Solano has been too. And we all anticipate very much KC Kevin King getting aboard, as was the scheduled plan at the beginning of the season. Can't wait to have KC joining us in the paddock down the road. Here's a look at JCD at least. Solano was a late call-up, so we don't have a picture of him. But we saw him smiling yesterday. He was having a great time with this opportunity to come and race stateside, get plugged in with a great team like GMG. And you never know, performances like these can open some eyes, might open up opportunities in the future.
Yeah, as we said, he's come in with very little chance to prepare for it, been dropped in from a great height and acquitted himself well. So, will certainly have opened some eyes, I'm sure.
Handling this challenge of jumping in an unfamiliar car and an unfamiliar track with aplomb. John Capestro-Dubets leads overall. Sofronis, though, continuing to lead in AM. He was the overall pole sitter for the race today. Pro-Am leader runs in third, Jesse Lazar. So top three on the road are the respective leaders of three different classes. How about that?
Exactly, and Jesse and Alex, they've got a decent cushion there. They're the next Pro-Am car behind is John Lancaster. And, he will be interesting to watch come through, but they've got a 10-second advantage at the moment. So John's got a bit of work to do to be challenging for the lead of the Pro-Am class.
It does. It's Jesse Lazar getting up to speed, leading in Pro-Am. Tommy Pintos and Colin Harrison. That's an interesting combination there. Tommy, of course, the inaugural McLaren Trophy Europe champion, and he's got the second place car in AM, Colin Harrison, behind. Tommy very much a part of the McLaren family, named a McLaren graduate driver, and this is, you could talk to this, part of McLaren's initiative to try and bring young talent into the driving roster with the goal of promoting ultimately up to the factory driver level.
Absolutely, yeah. We're growing as a company in the GT business, and part of that is having drivers to supply to teams. So we having brought on the One Make Championship, part of that is actually growing driving talent. So we now have in Europe we have the McLaren Trophy Academy, of which there are 10 members that we will be keeping an eye on and giving them courses and helping to nurture them with a view that they will then become graduates. Not all of them. The ones that flourish and catch our attention will be invited to join, as Tommy is, and Josh Rattigan is another one of our academy drivers. But it's the first step on that journey of becoming a factory driver. You know, we can work with them, bring them through the categories, and take them up to being fully fledged factory drivers, of which we've got Marvin Kirchhofer, who put it on pole quite convincingly today at Silverstone in the British GT Championship. So, you know, we've got a couple of other exciting drivers who've joined this year as well. We've got Joseph Loke, who was the Aston Martin Autosport BRDC Young Driver of the Year in 2023. So he's an exciting talent. Adam Smalley also joins him as a junior pro. So yeah, we've got some really great talent on board now, and it helps grow. You know, we can provide these drivers to our customer teams who are really looking to make a mark. So.
And not just GT seats to fill. Looking down the road, great announcement recently that McLaren will be represented on the prototype field as well.
Don't know what you're talking about.
No. I think it's official now. Not
yeah, no, we announced a couple of weeks ago.
It was quite vague.
It was. We've been talking about it for a while, but yes, it was announced a couple of weeks ago that McLaren will be returning to the hypercar category in 2027, subject to being given an entry, which is a really exciting prospect. So yeah, more on that in the future. We'll have a lot of activity at Le Mans.
Yeah, a little anniversary as well to celebrate at Le Mans.
Just a little one, yeah. 30 years of winning on our debut, which was, yeah, it's pretty special. That car is now, the Wayno Clinic car is now in the museum. It's been there for the past 4 months, and will be there for
the Le Mans Museum, you mean?
Yeah, exactly. So that's on display there with the Harrods car that came in 4th, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah,
I saw that winner at that museum when I was there for the centenary a couple years ago. And, one of my favorite cars, certainly from my youth. That's the kind of thing you had on your wall if you were a car enthusiast of a certain age.
Exactly. No, it's a beautiful thing. It normally lives on the boulevard at McLaren Technology Centre in Woking. But yeah, stunning car. So that will be there, and we'll have a few things to talk about, hopefully.
I should say so. By the way, while we were chatting away about heritage and such things, that we do have a few more penalties, unfortunately. Time penalties for both of the GMG cars at the front of the field. Those come from being short on the minimum pit stop time. As long as if you're short by under 2 seconds, effectively, your time that you were short on the minimum is multiplied by a factor of 10. So it's a pretty significant 6-second and change penalty coming the way of the leading car, a much more minor few hundredths of a second coming the way of James Sofronis. The way they run, it might swap the overall order, but it doesn't look likely to affect class position. There's one other penalty.
John Lancaster in the 812 car. They've also got a penalty, so.
And that was very minor, just a 300th of a second penalty coming post-race, which means they were short on the minimum by 3/1000ths of a second.
Yeah, Chris Warren's going to have to sharpen his pen there. I know he runs the team there very well, but yeah, one to look out for next race, I think.
Well, that was almost picture-perfect execution. I mean, if you're 3/1000ths under, that means you were 3/1000ths away from the perfect stop.
But 3/1000ths over, you're too slow.
That's right. Yeah, fine lines in this game.
Exactly.
Coming up on just now under 11 minutes to go. JCD maybe starting to try and build a gap, if he's been told, and I suspect he has, about the penalty. Same story here, although the penalty is minuscule for the 812. This is our first look at John Lancaster behind the wheel. Car started by Rafa Martinez, going to the inside. This is for 5th overall. Colin Harrison gives way and lets Lancaster go through in his pursuit of Jesse Lazar for the Pro-Am lead.
Andrew Davis has set the fastest lap of the race on a 2:09.3. I wonder if the team boss has just said, listen, John Lancaster's got a penalty. Hurry up. But we haven't told him how long the penalty is.
Maybe so. It's like holding red meat out in front of a rabid dog. Tell a racing driver you got a chance to go get another position. They'll go try and grab it. And Andrew Davis, that lap it's a big lap, about 0.2 of a second faster than any other that I see in terms of best lap, and significantly quicker than just about everybody in the field. That RWE team, they've been locked in. Execution in this one hasn't been perfect. They've had too many penalties. However, you can't question the speed.
Kevin Manson's done another good job as well. He's in a 2:09.7, best lap on his last by the looks of it. So, but he's got quite the gap to overcome there too.
Yeah, that might be a bridge too far, unfortunately, for Kevin, as quick as he is. He's 51 seconds behind the next car overall, and it's about another 8 seconds up the road to the next car in class, and that's probably too much to ask, even from him, with 9 minutes rather, still to go.
Well, the next car he'd be wanting to get past would be Colin Harrison for class. So
I think John Lancaster's got a problem. That car has slowed.
Oh yeah.
That you do not want to see. This was the second placed car in class, and something is very much amiss. These things have been pretty close to bulletproof through the first 2 races. And only one issue I can recall during the race at Sonoma, and a pretty clean run yesterday.
That's a shame, because they were looking good for a podium on debut here. But we'll have to see if they can get that back to the pits and remedy it.
Yep, and with an eye, of course, on tomorrow. The third and final race of the weekend still to come. Lancaster is shown as in the pits, so it does look like he was able to make it around. And a veteran like John would have probably suspected there was something amiss and taken proactive measures to ensure the damage, whatever it might be, was limited.
Exactly, so that moves Andrew Davis now up into a clear second, and Caelan O'Connell is currently 4th in Pro-Am. He should come through and take that final step on the podium. So
that would be fantastic. Another second-generation driver. We've talked about how this is a family affair, and I saw his dad, the legendary Johnny O'Connell, in the paddock earlier in the weekend. Great to have Johnny O on site. He was hoping to be racing this year, but his neck wasn't quite up to it. But he's not done. He'll be the first to tell you. He still has designs on getting back in a car. And, you know, Johnny O'Connell in a McLaren sounds pretty nice to me.
Yeah, we'll have to see what we can do with them.
I think you should.
Father-son entries are always good stories. So.
Indeed. And he's still fast. He might, and he's a bronze as well, which could open up some opportunities for him. Yeah, it's an interesting thought to chew on. Great to see Kanan get this opportunity. Won races at the touring car level, but he's really been out of top line racing for some time. He's been coaching and staying active, staying on track, but this is a big chance for him to showcase his significant talent. Right now, turning some good lap times in the car that has been promoted up to 3rd. Minutes, 20 seconds left. I think Amanda might have an update for us. Let's try and see if we can check in with Amanda Pitside.
Hey Ryan, yeah, I'm down by RWE Motorsport as they take in some of these penalties. It looked like the team was reacting to Lancaster coming onto pit lane. That will promote Andrew Davis underneath to that P2 finish. It seems like they're very happy. They had that pit stop yesterday that just was kind of a long pit stop as they elected to put on the wet tires. Right. But also I want to add on to the pro team with James Lee and Casey Dennis. I did catch up with James. He wanted to say that he's going to take a look at that start after this race. Talked about looking out of his peripheral and you know, just as you grow as a driver and wanting to reflect back on that replay, but said that they will be ready for tomorrow, and today would have been an easy win for them without that miscue.
Interesting. An easy win. Those are hard to come by, but certainly that car has been super quick all weekend long. They won yesterday quite handily. The penalty in question that Amanda alluded to, going back to the very start of the race, James was deemed to have changed columns prior to the start line. That's caught a few people out here this weekend. It's not a new rule, and James has driven in series that have had that rule in the past, but sometimes in the heat of battle it can be overlooked, and it has cost them a good result, unfortunately. Casey Dennis is in the car now. Still looks like it could be a podium run. Well, it will be, I guess, by default. But we'll see what Casey can do to try and get up a couple more positions overall. He's running down Colin Harrison right now. That would be 5th on the road, but still only 3rd in class. Jesse Lazar leading in Pro-Am. Alexandra Hayner set the table nicely for him in her opening stint. Seen her in a couple of different championships over the last few years, but this weekend here has been really eye-opening as to her potential. Excited to see where her future heads in motorsports, but the present certainly seems very exciting.
Yeah, she's certainly really impressed in the few races we've had so far, so be interesting to keep tracks on her career and see where she goes.
Was Casey Dennis giving way to Andrew Davis, not for class position. Davis is absolutely setting scorching lap times here as he continues his charge up through the field. He's got a long way to go and a short time to get there to get to the lead in class, but that's not going to stop him. Continue to push.
Yeah, I'm not sure in 3 minutes you can overcome a 21-second deficit, but I like the fact he's given it a go.
Yep. Now Andrew will be relishing the chance just to be in the thick of things again. Racer to his core is Andrew Davis. Long history, long pedigree. Calls Athens, Georgia home of the University of Georgia Bulldogs. And his helmet traditionally carries an homage to the Bulldogs. I suspect that's still the case. Not quite between the hedges, but keeping it between the lines here at Circuit of the Americas. This is going to be close on whether or not we get the white flag, but nope, looks like it will be 2 more laps to go for John Capestro-Dubets, who has built the lead now to nearly 9 seconds. That would be enough, even with the time penalty coming, to maintain that overall lead. James Sifronis comfortably 2nd place overall, but leading in AM. Side by side here, as first Andrew Davis and then Casey Dennis have overhauled Colin Harrison. Now a lapped car to contend with, I think.
That's Steve Stabara, yeah.
Yes.
Who pulls off and gives them room to come past, which is very kind of him.
Yes, he does. Still early stages for Steve here as he adapts to the championship and the car from New York State. Did quite a bit of racing in his youth. Raced at the Formula Ford and F2000 level the mid-90s. Was out of it for quite some time and has come back into the racing fold. Coached by a SRO America, or World Challenge as it was known at the time, great Pierre Kleinneubing. 2 of them met at the Concourse Club in Miami. It's been a fruitful pairing as Pierre has helped to bring Steve back into the racing fold. This is a look at his repaired car. The Orlando Motorsports Services crew had some work to do last night after the crash in race number 1. And Steve right now running solidly in 11th, 5th in class. Just 40 seconds to go before the checkered flag will come out. John Capestro-Dubets will see the white flag next time by. His driver with a different co-driver won the season opener at Sonoma Raceway, and he's 1 lap away from picking up another race win here in the 2nd race of this triple-header weekend, making up for the rainout that we had at Sonoma last month. Really quick driver, though. Championship in GT4 America silver competition last year. He's been a champion in other single mag racing in previous years as well. What a pairing he was with Eric Filgueres, who was due to share a McLaren here in this race with Tom Kopczynski. Unfortunately, that car dropped out early. But JCD and Eric teaming up to win 4 races, along with 9 podium results in their championship run in GT4 America last year. Now both drivers migrating over here to McLaren Trophy. Capestro-Dubets doing what he does, cruising out in front with a commanding lead over his team boss, James Sofronis. James started on the overall pole, great lap in qualifying, and he has run more or less untroubled towards the front of the field. JCD put a little pressure on him before the 2 teammates sorted things out, and very early on, James Lee was hounding him for the overall lead before James had to make the call to the pit lane to serve a penalty. But since then, it's been a bit of a lonely race for James Sofronis, solidly in second overall, but leading the AM class. And the Pro-Am leader, Jesse Lazar, they're looking to go back-to-back. He and Alexandra Hayner. Talked yesterday, did Alexandra, about putting the disappointment of Sonoma behind them. He did it in a big way, and now looks like they'll be set to celebrate back-to-back wins here at Circuit of the Americas. Here comes JCD through the final corner for the final time. Checker flag waves, and John Capestro-Dubets teams up with Andre Solano. There is Andre. They are race winners in McLaren Trophy America here at Circuit of the Americas. James Sofronis comes across the line. He'll take the AM Class victory. Pole to checkers in the AM Class for James Sofronis. And for the second straight day, it's motorsport in action. Jesse Lazar and Alexandra Hayner will celebrate with the champagne here at the home of the U.S. Grand Prix. Congratulations to all 3 of them. Tommy Pintos, what a drive to get up to 4th overall. Really strong result. 2nd in class. Davis crosses the line 2nd in Pro-Am. Casey Dennis will have to settle for 2nd in Pro. That penalty proved costly with no cautions to reset the field after the early miscue. Also, of course, carrying that success penalty that made for a lengthy pit stop. That did not help in the recovery drive, but such is the nature of success, I suppose, in McLaren Trophy America. Cool down lap is underway. JCD will celebrate for the 2nd time this season. Apparently, I shortchanged him a win last year. Should have been 5 wins along with Eric Filgaris en route to the championship. Thanks for keeping me on my toes, Eric. Sorry it didn't go well for you guys today. But well, I'm sure see that Riley team bounce back tomorrow. Filgaris and Kopczynski on the podium in the season opener. Nice to see a little bit of fresh blood in the form of James Sofronis standing on the top step. His son, Jensen, is doing some racing here this year as well. Jensen, in previous years, had been a bit impatient with James. He kept standing on the podium but not winning, and so he was getting some pressure at home, was the elder Sofronis from the young prodigy of a racing driver he's raised. The Sofronis family can be plenty happy with the outcome today. Not just a win for Dad, but also top 2 overall positions to GMG cars and a pair of class wins. Fantastic stuff. They also have had some strong running today in GT America and GT World Challenge America, including a win in the GT America race earlier in the afternoon. A look at the unofficial results. Solano and JCD by 8.3 seconds on adjusted time over Sofronis, who ran solo once more. Hayner and Lazar, winners in Pro-Am. Broll and Pintos, like their time is coming. Cooper's getting quicker as he adapts to the car, and Tommy, he knows his way around these McLarens, but he's learning all the tracks for the first time. Solid effort, though, to get to 2nd in class, 4th overall. What a stint from Andrew Davis, picking up the baton from John Dempsey, who drove to the lead, at least temporarily, in the Pro-Am class. Not sure exactly what cost them on that track position. We'll have to get to the bottom of that. But ultimately, they'll settle for a fighting second ahead of James Lee and Casey Dennis, who end up second in their class today. Make that third in their class today, excuse me. Colin Harrison from Tech Sport ahead of Kevin Madsen and Neil Langberg, Cook and Teoman, O'Connell and Kreutz, the rest of the top 10. Here's a look back at the first race of the weekend. Crucially, the red McLaren of James Lee switching columns there with the initial start. Drive-through penalty took away any real chance at a win here today. They'll settle for third instead. James Safronis led early on, but it was Andre Solano from the back. They were penalized, remember, after qualifying, and had to come up from the back of the field. Solano did the lion's share of the work and set the table nicely for JCD to finish it off. That was the pass for the lead at the time in Pro-Am. John Dempsey around Alexandra Hayner. Ultimately, though, those positions reversed in the final analysis. Speaking of reversing positions, the two GMG teammates swapping the overall lead back and forth, but John Capestro-Dubets ultimately came away with the advantage, which he nursed to the checkered flag, and despite a penalty post-race, time penalty, he held on for the overall win as well as the win in Pro, as Safronis took the victory in Am. This was John Capestro-Dubets crossing the line, seeing the checkered flag before anyone else. He will celebrate his second win with his many teammates here in 2025. No such revolving door of teammates for James Safronis. He's a solo driver in the Am class. He gets the win. And motorsport in action for the second straight day. Winners in Pro-Am. Let's hear from the winners now with Amanda.
Yeah, it was a big number one finger coming out of that McLaren for JCD. And Ryan was just talking about the roster of drivers that you've had so far this season. What is the trickiest part about that when you consider wins?
You just build camaraderie with all of them. Hi, Andrew. We miss you here. We wish you could be here. It's been awesome get to build these relationships and work with so many unique individuals. I was blessed to get such a gifted teammate this event, and to see him drive through the field and put us in a position to win, especially after I made the mistake in the pit lane. Wasn't going to let these boys go down, so I'm very glad we were able to pull that off, and thank you to the man upstairs for putting us on the top step today.
Well, congratulations to our Pro-Am winners and our Am winner. You saw James Safronis reach into the back of that interview. Great race here for race number one at COTA in McLaren.
That's right. Second race of the weekend. First official COTA race, as the first one yesterday was the makeup from Sonoma. Third race of the weekend comes up tomorrow. McLaren Trophy North America rolls on here at COTA.